fireplace behind me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a mood setting.
Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Radio on Farside TV with my co-host Jeremy Scipio.
What's going on, people?
Yeah, man. Glad to have you back, man. You know, glad to have you back.
You're trying to take me out, man.
Yeah,
I'm back though.
Yeah, we got you. You know what I'm saying? And then a very special guest, Mr. Todd Rexx. I really appreciate you coming in and blessing us and allowing us to ask you a couple questions and show you what Splendid is about. So basically,
I appreciate the opportunity, brother.
Yeah. So basically, the podcast is we always start with hip hop because I feel like hip hop is like a common binder for so many things. And then Jeremy brings the levity with the comedy and then the perspective of comedy, which before I really started working with Jeremy, my concept of comedy was like what I would see in movies. And then as far as stand-up was concerned, I really didn't understand like the art form behind it. You know, it looks a lot easier when you watch it in the comfort of your home or if you're watching a movie. But, you know, Jeremy bringing me into the Lion's Den and me seeing that you really have to be talented to do this. You know what I'm saying? You're not just going to look cool
because we make it look that way.
Yeah. So,
but it's not easy to make it look that way.
Oh man. I walked away with a whole new respect just watching him do his thing. And, you know, I've told the story on the podcast before, you know, the particular night that I went out to see Jeremy, there was an audience there that was like dying to laugh. And there was two comedians before Jeremy. It amazed me that they couldn't just, you know, they couldn't capture it. And I was just kind of like, man, they want to be to be fed. And so when Jeremy got up there, he kind of killed it. And you know, he walked off the stage and then he didn't feel that he had, you know, it was his best night or whatever. But me looking at those other comedians' faces after the fact, I could see they kind of struggled with it. And I was just like, man, this is different than hip hop, man. You know, hip hop, you have a DJ, you got, you know, some aesthetics, you have songs that you can, you know, use in order to bring back the nostalgia of certain things. But a comedian, if you can't immediately connect with your audience, man, that looks scary.
Yeah, it could be an uphill battle for sure.
Yes.
If you don't connect right away. So, you know, it's paramount that you do that. Connect right away.
So with that being said, where were you the first time you heard hip hop and what was the song?
First time, so I've of course heard the Sugar Hill Gang and all that stuff, but the first time that I was like enamored by it, where I was just like, yo, what the fuck is this? Like, was The Show by Dougie Fresh. And I had my brother's Walkman, and he had the tape in there, and I put it on, and I was just like, and it was like, you know, stereo, like right in my ear, not the cheap like little stereo that we had in the crib. And I really had to rewind that thing 1,000 times. I learned it word for word, and that was like my first like real foray into hip hop. And then, you know, Dougie Fresh, and then got into Slick Rick, and then it just went from there. And yeah, man. And I love hip hop, man. I still do. And, you know, one of my favorites, MF Doom, rest in peace.
Oh, cool.
One of my, and probably my top three.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah. So yeah.
Did you ever think hip hop would be as large as it is?
Like it's a cultural phenomenon now. I mean, it's like infiltrated everything. I didn't even put it into. It wasn't even on my radar that it was even a possibility that it could be this big. I didn't even put any thought into it. It just started happening, and I was like, "Yo, what the hell is going on?" You started turning on TV and seeing Gap commercials using hip hop. I'm like, what? You know. Yeah, and I never thought it would, but I never thought it wouldn't either. You know, I just didn't think about it. But it's been fun watching it.
You know, that's interesting because I was watching some Adult Swim a couple nights ago, and
MF Doom was all through that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And one of the things I noticed, there was some there was a couple commercials, and I want to say there might have been a fast food commercial in there or something like that, or I might have been sleep channel surfing, and I started off at Adult Swim and I ended up somewhere else. But it was interesting because I saw some fast food commercials, and I noticed that, you know, back in like the late 80s, really before then, but I would just say late 80s, early 90s up to 2000s, the fast food commercials were kind of targeted at people of color. You know what I'm saying? Like they would have the little themes, and they urbanize it. You know what I'm saying?
Calvin getting on the bus.
Right? Hey, Calvin. Yeah.
And it was interesting because it was like they really don't feel they have to urbanize it anymore. Like it was like the commercials that I saw, they weren't urbanized. They were more culturized, but they weren't urbanized. And I was like, dang, that's crazy that, you know, they don't have to reach out to, let's say, you know, to target, let's say, the Black people anymore. It's more they're targeting the culture.
The culture, yeah.
Yeah. And so
the culture supersedes race at this point.
Exactly. And that was very interesting. That was very interesting because, you know, Black people are, you know, we're large consumers. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever, you know, whatever it is, we like to spend money, man.
We like to spend money, but we're also trendsetters. So,
yes,
I mean, you know, say what you want, but culture, other cultures follow us, what we do. You go to Japan. I went to Japan a few years back, and we were in this nightclub, and we were seeing these Japanese kids with afros.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a dude that was he was a Japanese national that was like, you know, basically taking care of us while we were in Japan. And I was like, yo, what are they doing to their hair? And they were talking about how much money they spend to get their hair to look like that. It doesn't last long, you know, and they have to go multiple times a week to get their hair like that. And they were just straight up hip hop, listening to hip hop music, like in ciphers, rapping in English. And I was like, dude, I mean, come on, man, this is Japan. We're in Okinawa, Japan. And these kids it was like being at a club in New York City. And the funny thing was, I wasn't hip hop enough for them. Like I tried to talk to them, they're like, nah, nigga.
Yeah, hey man. If you know, I give it to the Japanese people, whatever it is culturally that they connect to, they go so hard.
They do it to 1,000%.
Like whether it's the essays,
they got the greasers.
Yeah,
they got the greasers over there, like from the 50s, with the cigarettes rolled up in the sleeves and the hair slick.
Rockabillys. Yeah,
the rockabilly, exactly.
It's like a caricature.
Yeah, I saw a cat roll up to a Far Side showing it was like a Cutlass or something like that.
Yeah, like 6'4" Impala.
Yeah,
so, you know, not to drop names, but Russell Peters had a 6'4" Impala that he had customized, and so took the old original dash out, put a digital dash in there, and put crazy sound system in it, and it was in Vegas, at his house in Vegas, and he told me that this Japanese businessman in Tokyo wanted to buy it for $150,000.
Yeah.
So he was sending it over there, and I was like, damn, they that invested in it over there. That I was like, I want that car.
That's amazing. That's amazing because that used to be the old school lick. Like I knew cats that like in the like early 90s to mid 90s, that was their thing, man. They sought out cars to send them over to Japan. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously?
Oh yeah. No, that was a thing. That definitely was a thing. So what city did you grow up in?
I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland, literally like a mile from Dave Chappelle. We're both from Silver Spring, Maryland. And so, yeah, Silver Spring, Maryland, right outside Washington, D.C. Like I could walk to the D.C. line from my house.
Well, we said, what school was that?
What's that?
What school?
What school?
What middle school?
What's middle school did you go to?
Oh, so Dave went to Woodland Elementary, and I went to Highland View. And then went to Tacoma Park, and then to Blair High School. Montgomery Blair. If you ever seen the Blair Witch Project, Blair is the high school that I went to.
So
is Blair, that's what it's based on?
No, I was like in that area.
Oh, I'm about to say. I'm looking at it right now.
So question. So explain to us what. So it sounds very. So you said Silver Spring, Maryland?
Yep.
Okay, it sounds very. Like I can't put a finger on the pulse of it. Explain to us what this place was.
It sounds cliche, man, but it was like a cultural melting pot, man. Like there was everybody lived in my neighborhood. Black kids lived up the street from me, white kids lived down the street from me, Hispanic kids lived not too far. Yeah, man, there'd be high school fights, but it was never like blacks against whites or Hispanic. It would be like this high school versus that high school, and there was never any racism where I grew up. And I never been called the N-word until I was a grown up somewhere else. I was actually in Boise, Idaho, the first time I got called by a woman walking, and she had her head down looking at her phone. She bumped into me and called me the N-word. She's like, "Watch where you're going, nigger." But anyway, I digress.
I want to hear more about
never ran into any of that in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Okay. No, that's interesting. I grew up in the South Bay, and not like upper Northern California Bay, but like Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because that was kind of like my upbringing, so to speak. It was like the punk rockers hung out with the hip hoppers, with the heavy metalers, with the like all the cultural everything, and it was kind of like we could kind of play the dozens with each other, but like if it came down to anything, all the cultures were united. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't trade it for anything, because when you're raised around other cultures, it really prepares you for the world. You know what I'm saying? Where I feel like I kind of had a cheat code for as I became an adult, because it wasn't about just people that were like me. Because it's like, okay, you got black people, but like in any race, you got people that are cool. You got people that are pieces of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got the good, you got the bad, you got the ugly. But it taught me that, like, okay, just because someone's white or someone's Asian or someone's whatever, like that doesn't make them, favorable or unfavorable. There's favorable or unfavorable people in
every race, color, creed, exactly. But it also afforded you the ability, because it's just as it has me, to be able to move in multiple different spaces seamlessly. You can go into a room, like I've done comedy in front of 75-year-old white financial wizards. It was a financial wizards convention, and they invited me to do stand-up there, and I was able to like do my thing and then talk to them afterwards. And a couple other comedians didn't have such a great time, but they were like, "Dude, why do you want to hang out and talk to these guys?" And I was like, "Because it's interesting." But they just didn't know how to even communicate with them. But because of my cultural upbringing, I could be put in any situation and make conversation and be comfortable. And so like you said, it's like having a cheat code.
Yeah, not for real. So
I still run into people that don't know how to operate in certain situations. I'm like, how do you not know how? Like, seriously, you can't talk to these people? Okay.
Yeah, I went to a performing arts school, and I felt the same way. It's like, it's funny when people like kind of overreact to seeing, I don't know, maybe because it's not a part of their culture or whatever, but I grew up in an all Black neighborhood. And then when I went to the art school, I started being around like just about everybody. So it kind of prepared me. I didn't realize it at the time, but it kind of prepared me for like Hollywood, because it was the same type. Because I tell you, so trans never been new to me. Like it's always been around. Now I didn't see until I moved to LA 2 gay people walking down the street holding hands. Right. I never saw that. You know what I'm saying? So I'll say that was new to me, but I was like, oh, this makes sense. But when people were just like, oh my God, it's a trans person, I was like, y'all didn't have those in high school?
Right.
We had that too. So I don't know. I'm not, I haven't been, my mind haven't been blown in a long time. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I feel you on that. I went to the first time I went to Amsterdam in 2000. In 2000, I went to Amsterdam, and I was at this store, and me and a couple other comics, we were talking to this female that worked at the store, and in the middle of the street is the Kaiserstraat, is this like shopping district, and this like 6'4" like dude in high heels, fishnet stockings, mini skirt, and like a bustier and a wig was just like strutting his stuff down the middle of the street. And I and the girl that we were talking to, I just like bust out laughing. I was like, check my man's out. And she was just like, okay, and I was like, that's I'm just saying, like, that's a guy. And she's like, okay, is he bothering you? And I was like, no. And she was like, so why is that funny? Like, let him live his life. And I was like, damn.
You got
I'm gonna tell you something very interesting about Amsterdam. So you know, when I first started going out with the Far Side, I'll say the first year we were probably in Amsterdam 3 times. That was just one of those.
You were playing at the Paradiso or the Milky Way?
The Milk Egg, yeah. The
Milk Egg.
I'll floss that little pronunciation on you. Yeah, it was a Paradiso.
Hey, that was a fly flex between you two.
Yeah, and it was, you know, it was interesting because you still with us? You with us? He might have froze up a little bit.
Oh, did you freeze?
Yeah, but I keep on. Oh, there he is.
There we go.
Okay, so it was interesting because, you know, whenever I travel, I always talk to people. Like, I love to just have drinks at the bar with people. I love their experience. And so
right.
One of the things I learned, like, because the Dutch, their history is just they're very docile and nice now, but they did some very horrible things, you know what I'm saying, throughout history, like a lot of people did or whatever.
Right.
But their thing is, because they did so many horrible things back in the day or whatever, they're just very liberal, man.
They're super liberal. Yeah.
But it goes to the effect of they really don't go for any type of racism, sexism, class, like anything. And where in America, you could like maybe crack a little joke or say something or whatever, even like not even talking about the trans stuff, but just like, you know, race. And dude, they really like the way that they were brought, like they really are on point on that. But, you know, they did some, you know, I'm glad that
they colonized Suriname.
Amen. Them was some, yeah, they did some horrible stuff, man. But with that being said, what was the pop and music going on when you were in high school?
When I was in high school, like I said, Dougie Fresh. I don't even want to tell you what year I graduated from high school.
Okay.
No, I'm not afraid to say it. 88. I came out in 88.
Hey.
I'm 89.
Okay.
Hey, the year I was born. Hey.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Wow.
Hey, what up, y'all?
Young buck. Yeah. So, you know, Dougie Fresh and stuff was like, that was my thing. Right out of hip hop, out of high school, started getting into like Chubb Rock and Third Bass, and which I'm actually friends with MC Search now. We're pretty cool. We're pretty close. And so, yeah, man. And then Epmd, of course, was one of my all-time favorites. I know pretty much every word of every song they've ever done. And yeah, I love Epmd. And the Far Side, of course. She keeps on passing me by. And
hey.
Mom got a glass eye with a fish in
it. All right.
I think that's the one thing that makes it easy to get guests for this show.
What's that?
Far Side TV, I'm in.
Right.
But so in high school, what did you think your path was going to be after you graduated?
I don't even know. Well, okay, so I don't know if you know that I played ice hockey my whole life, and but I disliked school very much, and I played club hockey, played in Canada. Our team went to Russia and China and all that stuff. So I was thinking I was going to be playing hockey, but when we got a letter from Hartford University in Connecticut asking me if I wanted to come check out the program up there, my parents were very excited when they got the letter, and I didn't even open the letter. I was like, nah. I was like, I hate high school. I'm going to hate college too. And I didn't really put thought into what I was going to do. What's that?
A black ice hockey player? You would have been like the Michael Jordan of ice hockey?
So I thought.
You turned it down? That's like the Jamaican
that?
bobsled team. You could have been like the ice hockey. We need a black person over there, dog. That could have been you.
Oh no, there's plenty now. My son plays now. My son plays AAA for the LA Kings.
Okay, so he's up next. Cool.
Yeah, hold on. This just happens to be here. This is just one of his trophies. This just happens to be in the dining room right now. But
wow, what's his name?
Yeah,
what's his name?
His name is Maximus. His name is Maximus Rexx.
Oh, that's a
name. You can look him up. Maximus Rexx is his name. He's ranked in the country. Just hold on. Here's some of his hats from his team.
Yo.
Wow. Well, I'll say this, man. Hockey's pretty violent, man.
Oh yeah, that's the best part about it. No, I'm just kidding. That was a big part of my game. My son's a big boy. He's a defenseman too, so it's like he's got 2 more years. Well, the rest of this year and then next year, and then he'll be able to start laying people out, and he can't wait. He already does it now. Gets penalties for it, but
so explain to me. So I've never watched a full hockey game. Never in my life.
You got to go, man. You got to let me take you to like a LA Kings game.
Oh wow! You know what? One of my homeboys DJs for the Kings, and I saw him right
DJ,
before.
What's his name?
Vic One.
He's Hispanic.
No, he's
or white, right?
Yeah, like Armenian. That's what
okay.
You know, I had to think about it because Vic is so cool. I'm trying to think of what he is, and I'm looking, and I'm like, oh, and I was almost going along with you. He actually, I went to see the Kings play the Detroit Red Wings like 2 weeks ago, and then last week I went and watched the Kings play the Penguins, and he was doing his thing up he's all the way up top. Yeah.
Vic One.
Yep, DJ Vic One. He's a cool dude. So
real quick, I just want to give the comment section some love. So basically, we do this live. So YouTube people, they comment, they chime in, whatever. They want to know: did you ever go to a Puffy Howard party?
Did I?
Yes.
I've been to a million parties at Howard University, but Puffy was never there, unfortunately. I would have loved to have gone to a Puffy party. I didn't know that Puffy even went there until after he was gone and became the Puffy that everybody knows.
And then switched to Diddy.
Right.
That's it for now. Go ahead.
But I used to be on U Street, on the U Street corridor, going partying all the time out there. If they know about that.
So part of the reason I take the long way around when I interview people, because I mean, you're a comedian. That's what you do. But my thing is to kind of like introduce people to who the person is, and then we get into the career so that they can kind of have a full spectrum of who the person is. So where was the first time you did stand up, and what was that like?
It was at the Comedy Cafe on K Street, 16th and K Street in Washington, D.C. And it was fantastic, man. I was 2 summers in a row. I lived at the beach, Ocean City, Maryland. And the last year, one of the kids that lived with me, this kid named Anthony Gorman, who's one of the biggest families in Maryland. He had 16 brothers and sisters, and they're Irish Catholic. But he was living with us down at the beach, and this is before cell phones. So he ended up getting sick, and we were trying to figure out why. So we called his sister Teresa, and his sister Teresa drove to Ocean City, Maryland, like an hour and a half, 2 hours, picked him up, took him home, and I didn't see him or talk to him for the rest of the summer. And then after the summer was over, I got back home to Silver Spring and I hit him up and I was like, yo, what happened? And he said he had spinal meningitis. He was all over it. Yeah. And so he was, but he was all good. And I said, so what'd you do the rest of the summer? And he said, I started doing stand-up comedy. And I was like, yeah, right. And he was like, seriously, every Thursday night, they're going to open mic down at the Comedy Cafe on 16th and K Street. My sister Teresa's driving me down there on Thursday if you want to roll. And I was like, cool. My dad was a huge comedy fan, would tape all the evening at the Improvs and the half-hour comedy hours and all the stuff in living color and all that. So, and for my 18th birthday, he took me to a comedy club to see a comic, and I still, to this day, cannot remember the name of the comedian. But I was like enthralled. I was like, damn, man, this dude is in a room full of people that he don't know, and he got everybody on his side, and he was doing his thing, and I loved it, and I didn't think it was even a possibility that I could do that until my buddy told me that he'd been doing it, and I went with him, and he went up on stage and he bombed. And he came and sat down next to me. And when he sat down next to me, I acted like I didn't know him. Like I was embarrassed to talk to him. So I put my hand up like this, like, don't look at me, nigga, right? And he was like, and he said, oh, you think you can do better than that? And I was like that, yeah, I can do better than that. What you just did. He said, put your name on the list. And I said, who I got to talk to? And he pointed to the dude that was hosting the show. And I said, he's the host though. And he was like, yeah, tell him you want to go up. So I walked over to him. His name is Greg Poole. And still friends with him to this day. Wow. I said, hey, man, I want to go up on stage. And he said, if you do, you'll be going up last, like around 12:30. And I was like, okay. And I was like, the later the better for me. Hopefully people will leave by then. So he said, what's your name? And I said, Todd. And he was like, you have a stage name? And I was like, me and my friends call me T-Rex. My name's Todd Rexx. And he was like, I'm going to bring you up as T-Rex. And I was like, all right, cool. And he was like, how many times have you been up before? And I was like, this is it. It was the first time. And I went up there and I can't remember exactly what I did, but I know I did Archie Bunker having relations with Edith. That was just an impression that I did. And got people laughing. And I came home and woke my parents up and I was like, I did stand-up comedy tonight. But Greg Poole was like, next week, if you want to come back next week, come back, have some stuff written out and just work it. And I was like, word. So I was like super excited. Came back the next week and I basically had a script written out, and I just memorized the script for the next week, and then got on stage and just ate it. There was no emotion in it. It was just me remembering the script and just like, reciting what I written down. That was like 1991.
Wait, but you made dude eat his words though. What about him?
He stuck with it for a while. But yeah, I haven't talked to him for a minute now. It's been at least 20 years.
That's the worst. So they'd be like, oh, you think you can better? You go do it. And he's like, oh shit, he good. That's funny. Yeah, to actually win a bet like that. What type of comedian would you classify yourself as?
Oh man. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of all over the place. I don't really do. Was that funny for sure? But the one thing that I often get, not material-wise, but my stage presence, I've been told numerous times that I'm very Richard Pryor-esque because I tell stories. My stories are in depth, and I give the characters personality and color and flavor. And so I don't even know how I would describe myself, but I'm kind of all over the place, but observational. A lot of the stuff I've been doing as of late is about my family, because I'm a father of 4 and the husband to a very successful woman and a grandfather of 1.
Sound like a lot of material to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. A lot of times it's hard to find the funny.
Ah, shoot! I know you got that. Who was the first comedian that made you say, you know what? I want to do that.
The first comedian? Richard Pryor. I mean, from the time I was probably 8 years old, my parents had the Richard Pryor albums, and I'd put them on. And people would say that they had to go to the basement and put it on, and because of the colorful language and all that stuff. But my parents didn't give a shit. I just like Richard Pryor albums. They didn't care.
You know, I'll give you a blast from the past. So, I remember in junior high school, it
All right,
might
I
have
will
been
also, no, I will also, so that was when I was sorry. I will say this, Eddie Murphy also.
okay.
Eddie Murphy, when that first special came out that he did,
Delirious.
Delirious, I was blown away by it. I was like, I mean, my brother and I used to listen to that and just be in tears. And that's what I was like. I mean, I wanted to do that so bad. Like, listen to Richard Pryor. I loved what he was doing. I didn't think that was something I wanted to do. But then when I heard Eddie Murphy, I was like, God damn, like I got to do this.
I remember with Richard Pryor being in like late elementary school or early middle school, and we had on TV at my house, but you know, it was only like in my parents' bedroom. It wasn't throughout the house or nothing like that. How you have, you know, direct TV every room, whatever. And I remember they would have the kids go downstairs and we would, you know, play card games or whatever, board games, whatever. And the adults would like close the door and they'd have wine and it'd be like 3 couples and my parents, and we kind of creep up the stairs to kind of listen.
Right.
Kind of listen. And it was like really a big deal, man. And I remember with Richard Pryor, I really gravitated towards his storytelling and like I really like Mudbone a lot.
Right.
Like that was, you know, because I have family from Mississippi and it was, you know, kind of about a Southern guy, you know, Tupelo, I guess it's Tupelo, Mississippi, whatever. So that was yeah, no, that was amazing.
Is that where it came from? Her middle name is Mudbone, and on top of all that, your mama.
Oh man, I don't. The dude, yeah, I don't. Yeah, it could have. Right. Yeah, I never asked the person who wrote the lyric, but yeah, it could be because there was a lot of Richard Pryor listening going on.
Right.
We got another comment question. What is the most intimidating audience between LA, New York, and Chicago?
Most intimidating? New York for sure, I think.
Uh-huh. Do you have?
But I always have fun.
Answer?
Like, but it makes me be on my toes, and I always end up having a fantastic time. But I'm always like, for some reason, going to New York is always like, damn, I got a show tonight in the Bronx. And so I'm just like, you know, it's always on my mind during the day when I'm going to perform in New York. And then I go, it keeps me on my toes and makes sure I'm extra sharp because I don't want to screw it up. And then I'm always like relieved afterwards and I feel like 10 times better. So yeah.
You ever do
Detroit is the worst though.
Detroit, really?
Oh my God.
Heard that.
Yeah, Detroit is I got booed in front of 5,000 people at the Fox Theater. A dude threw a champagne bottle at me and not no Dom Perignon or some like Brut or some shit.
What'd you say? You triggered them because I know you wasn't bombing. You just was like, "Fuck Detroit."
Yeah,
they was like, boo.
No, it was
Lions suck. Boo.
I don't remember exactly how I got on this dude, but there was a dude that was sitting in the front row. The whole situation was whack because it was on the Def Comedy Jam All-Stars tour and Samora was hosting. And on those tours, in those big theaters, they have intermissions. And the worst spot to go on is right after intermission because people are still trying to get settled back in their seats after going out and smoking cigarettes, smoking weed, getting some drinks, talking shit, and then come back in and people are still rowdy and bustling around. And so I drew the short straw. So I was like, damn, man, I do not want to do this. And so after the intermission, some more went on stage and they started giving her the business. And some more was like, I ain't gonna sit here and take all this shit. I'm gonna spread the love, give it up for T-Rex. And Kid Caprice spun the music and I came out. Hey. They just did not want to hear what I had to talk about. And so it started off with like 1 or 2 people, like you can hear them up in the balcony, like boo, whatever, right? And then I pointed out this dude in the front row who had like this street cone orange suit on, and he had the orange gaiters and the orange hat and all that, and he was in a wheelchair. But what I didn't know was that he was a hood figure who had been shot and paralyzed and put in that chair.
Oh.
So when I started talking about him, people started opening the booze up.
Oh.
Hey,
they set you up, man. They set you up. That's sucks. Seriously, like they gonna put the paraplegic in the front row, and then he's a whole icon
in
of
that
Detroit.
bright orange suit to make sure I didn't miss him. And,
Come on.
I let him have it, but then they let me have it. And the funny thing was, the night before, in a tour bus on the way to Detroit from New York City, we did a show at the Peppermint Lounge in New Jersey, and someone threw a beer bottle at Chris Spencer, and so it didn't hit him or nothing like that. And Chris wasn't even on the show; he was just there, and he just got on stage and said, "What up?" And they threw a beer bottle at him. And then on the tour bus, I was like, "I ain't never had nothing thrown at me before." And then the next night, here comes a champagne bottle out of the dark. When it hit the stage and skittered into the corner, I looked at the bottle. I turned around and looked at the kid. We just bust out laughing. We're like, weren't we just talking about this last night? So after the show, I'm like, and then Tony Woods went up after me and he crushed it. Because like he was like, oh man, I can't do any worse than that. I'm gonna go up here and have me a ball. So he went up there and had a ball, and then get in the limo. And they're going to the after party, and I tell the limo driver to take me back to the Athenaeum Hotel. And I was like, take me to the Athenaeum. And the limo driver was like, you're not going to the after party? I was like, hell no. And then Kid Capri was like, you ain't going to the after party? And I was like, no, man. And he was like, why not? And I was like, I just got booed in front of 5,000 people. You want me to go hang out at the after party where half those people are going to be at? And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And I was like, take me to the hotel. And he was like, man, you're a sucker if you go back to the hotel. You let the booze stop you from having a good time. You let the boo stop you from having a good time. You ain't built for this. And he said, I've seen the best in the business get booed. He said, I seen Bernie Mac get booed. I saw Cedric the Entertainer get booed not too long ago. And he was like, you better not let a boo stop you from having a good time. I said, you ever been booed, kid? He was like, fuck no. I was like, to the hotel and don't spare the horses.
The nerve. Yo, I mean, I don't care how big your ego is. 5,000 people coming at you, man, wrong. That's you take a night off. I'm with you on that one.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Another comment section question said, are you funny in an everyday setting, or do you feel like you're more structured within context of a writer or writer performer?
I'm funny in everyday settings. But like I don't write anything down. So as far as being a writer, I don't write. It's all in my head, and then I bring it to the stage. I do my writing on stage. Like I have an idea, and then I'll bring it up on stage, and then the adrenaline and the pressure of me having to be funny will make me write it on stage. And then I'll be like, okay, that's where the funny is, and I have just work on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I saw some of these questions, like even me, I would be having a hard time to answer. I'd be like, wait, what? Like what type of comedian am I? I mean, whatever you say is the truth. I don't know.
Right.
But best advice that you got?
Best advice to give to a young comic?
No, that you've gotten. But you could also tell that too. Yeah.
Oh, best advice I've gotten: don't fry bacon naked.
Hey, that goes back to the last question. That goes back to the
last question. That's a solid advice right there.
Hey.
Best advice I think I've gotten, and this is from the late great Fat Doctor, who's a comedian from the Washington D.C. area that was there from day one. He just recently passed away. Rest his soul. He told me, and he wrote it on my notebook. This is when I first started doing comedy, and I was just writing ideas down. And I was a fan of his, and so we ended up becoming really good friends. But when I first met him, I was a fan of his, and I was like, "Hey man, can you sign my book for me?" And he was like, "Sure." So he signed the book, and then I said, "Some words of wisdom," and he was like, "Never relax on your last show. Your last show is in the past. Worry about your next one." And he was like, it doesn't matter if the last one was good or bad. What matters is the next one. And it's always kind of like stuck with me. I always remember that, like, okay, yeah, it was fantastic last night, but that has nothing to do with tonight. Tonight can be completely different. But you can still ride that wave of feeling good from the night before, but you can't be like, man, I'm good. I had a great show last night. You better be on your toes, boy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So when did you develop the concept for Beautiful Mess?
We got a new puppy. This dude is trying to break out of the kitchen. The concept for Beautiful Mess. Well, because like just my whole, with my wife being an executive and me being at home with the kids a lot while she was doing doing her thing with her businesses. And so it was like me being stay-at-home dad, except for the weekends when I would travel and do comedy. Just me raising the kids was like, it was always like me running here, running there, picking up kids, taking them to different sporting events, and there are different activities. And at night, I'd be like freaking exhausted to the point where like comedians would be like, "Yo, man, you coming into Hollywood tonight?" And I'm like, "Dude, I can't make it, man." I lay on that couch after a full day of running around, and my son curl up on my chest, and I like put on a movie, and I'm like, I got to be down at the Improv at 8:00, and it'd be 6:45, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not gonna make it, man. And I was like, it's like everything was chaotic, but I wasn't, I wouldn't trade any of it for anything. It's just, spending all this time with my kids is something that I'll never get back. And one day they're not going to need me anymore. And I'm just going to be like some dude that they used to know, that they used to rely on.
Nah, they ain't going to do you like that.
No, they wouldn't do me like that. But it's just, it's chaotic, but it's wonderful, man. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. Like, it seems like it's frantic and crazy, but I love it. And that's where I was like, it's a beautiful mess. Like it's messy, but I love it. So yeah, that's where the concept came from. And like the majority of the material in that special is talking about me being a father to 4 kids.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about Zoe Rexx a little bit.
Oh, man, you know a little bit about
her. Yeah, I was
my 19-year. My daughter, she's 19 years old. Zoe, she's a musician. She produces music and she sings, and and she's dope, man. Self-taught, and so my wife and I have spared no expense, like basically building a studio in our house that she eventually moved from the studio to her room. She's just like, I don't want to have to go downstairs into the studio anymore, so I'm bringing all the shit up to my room. So turned her room into a studio, her bedroom, and so. Yeah, so she's just a musician and doing shows around LA. But the other night, Jeremy was there, and I wanted to say again, thank you for coming out and supporting. She was at the Whiskey A Go-Go, the legendary Whiskey A Go-Go on Sunset, and her name was up on the marquee out front, and they were chanting her name. I got that on video of the crowd just going, Zoe, Zoe, after she does some songs.
I started that.
And then she was the only one that they asked to do encores. Like, she did 2 encore songs. They were like, she was like, all right, well, that's my time. I appreciate you guys.
And we still didn't want her to go.
One more song. And then she did one more, and then she did another one. I was like, damn, Zoe, you got it like that.
Hey, man, proud daddy moment, man. Proud daddy moment.
Oh, yeah, it was fantastic. I almost had tears in my eyes. My daughter called me on the way when I was on the way down to Uber because I knew I was going to have some drinks. So I was in the Uber, and she was like, my name's on the marquee out front. She's like, I know you're going to cry when you see it because I know how you are. I didn't cry when I saw the name. I was like, damn, there it is. But when when they were chanting her name, and then she did the encore, I was like, that's my little girl right there. That's my little baby.
Yeah, man. Look, I'll say, I don't even feel biased when I say this, man. She is extremely talented. I mean, her versatility, especially, I would say her knowing herself so well at such a young age. I envy that because I was still struggling with my identity as far as like where I wanted to go. Well, I didn't even start comedy until I was 22. I mean, I knew I wanted to do it, but I didn't have the courage. You could tell that she's went through all those steps pretty early. And who she is, you could see it in her music. I mean, she literally had something for everything. And then when she spit, when she was like rapping, I was like, whoa, like, man, that song was hard. Bro, like, that was crazy. I was like, yo, I don't regret that at all, man. Like, I had fun, like literally watching her shine, in her moment, and in your moment too. I was like, I'm not really like a filming person, but I should have filmed it because I saw you because I was down below and I saw you upstairs, and I was like, man, he about to jump over the banister.
I was going crazy over that time. Yeah, it was great,
Yo.
man. Yeah, like last week that you were there the night that we were all hanging out for the Chappelle after party, and my
Yeah.
daughter was in the booth with everybody, and at the
Yeah,
booth at the
man.
after party, and it was like Dominic Fike, Anderson Paak, Vic Weinstein, and
Yeah.
uh, Dumbfounded, and then
Yeah.
Mario came through with
Yeah.
Leon Bridges and
Yeah. Leon Bridges, Talib Kweli. It was
Talib
crazy.
Kweli, right? And my daughter was just sitting there in the middle of all that and just holding court, like having conversations, have everybody laughing. And that's why I was just at the bar, like watching. I was like, look at my kid, man. She's like in some, like she's part of them. Like she's not like some outsider, like trying to fit in. She was right in the middle of it,
Yeah, man.
doing her thing. That was a very proud moment for me too.
Well, hey man,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to get her on the podcast too,
Hey
man.
man, yeah man,
Absolutely.
check her album out. She's on SoundCloud and Apple Music and iTunes. She's on every major platform, but she has a EP out called ISM, ISM, and it's got some bangers on there.
That's dope. So tell me this, man. We're gonna get into all the people you know, but we're gonna do it. We're not gonna make it look corny, but what was the most amazing night you've ever witnessed personally in comedy?
The most amazing night I've witnessed.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be you on stage. It could be like whatever, but like something where you were out one night and like you just saw something that was like, man, I was there.
Oh damn, I don't even know, man. There's been so many. I think one of the very first time I went to Amsterdam, damn, COVID. The very first time I went to Amsterdam, I was in Germany, and my friend Brooklyn Mike was in Germany with me. We were doing some military bases, and I asked if he was on the same flight going back to the States, and he said, nah, he was going to Amsterdam. And so I was like, you taking a train to Amsterdam? And he was like, yep. And I was like, damn, man. So I was like, I want to go to Amsterdam. I had never been. I want to go. And so he called the promoter, Virgilio Weingart, who does the bounce. And he asked Virgilio if I could just come through and do guest spots on the bounce, which is like Def Comedy Jam over there. So they were doing theaters, and they were doing a show at the New Delamar Theater. And so we got there, and they let me do a guest spot, man. And I killed that shit, and in front of like 2,500 people, and in Amsterdam. And then they just treated us like kings. We went to an after party, and they were just like, everywhere we went was just everybody knew who we were. And then the comedy club there, the Comedy Cafe, asked me to come back, and they brought me back. And then when I went back, I did television. I did some television shows. And then I did a commercial for the NFL Europe for the Amsterdam Admirals. I did a television commercial for them, and then and so I was like a mini celebrity over there. So as far as comedy goes, man, the most amazing stuff has been like I think Amsterdam is probably great. I went to Eddie Murphy's house one night. That was pretty great. I made a damn fool of myself, but it was cool up to that point.
What'd you do?
So like probably like 4 or 5 years earlier, I was performing at the Laugh Factory, and Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence were up in the balcony, and I was on stage, and I looked up, and they were like, and I was doing this routine I no longer do because of the cancel culture, but they were like banging on the table, like, you know, head down, laughing, banging on the table. And it was my birthday night, and I felt extra great. And my buddies that I was going out with afterwards came to the show, and they were like, damn, man, Eddie Murphy and Martin were crying when you were doing that routine. And so like 5 or so years later, I'm at Eddie's house. It's the end of the night. I've had a few too many drinks, and Eddie was probably drinking a little bit too. And he's in this little breezeway in his backyard. People are leaving, and he was standing there by himself, like sipping his drinks, just looking around. And I took it upon myself to go say what's up to him. So I was like, yo, Eddie. And he shook his hand. And I was like, yo, thanks for having this dope ass party. And he was like, thanks for coming through. And I was like, no problem. I was like, I'm actually a comedian too. You had the pleasure of watching me perform at the Laugh Factory a few years ago. I did the routine about blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I said, thanks for coming through, man. I was like, God damn, I embarrassed myself. And I was with Jay Phillips. Jay Phillips was like, why did you say that? You're trying to sell him on your comedy? He's like one of the best that ever did it. You're trying to sell him on your comedy. I was like, I was just trying to remind him like who I was. He was not interested.
Yeah. Man, you never know what to say in those moments, man. I mean, you did your thing. What can you do? You know what I'm saying?
Right. I started laughing. I walked away and I was like, oh my God, I'm an asshole. And Jay Phillips was like, why would you say that? And I was like, because it's true. He watched me perform. I was hoping he'd be like, oh yeah, I remember that. What's up, man? How you been? But he was like, I said, thanks for coming, man.
You also said you had the pleasure. That's pretty cool. But yeah, man. Nah, man. He'll remember that. Like next time you see me, like, yo, man, you had the pleasure seeing me, remember?
Showing you how man, don't feel bad, man. I've in a couple of the passports that I've gotten stamped up and whatnot moving around, I've had a couple nights, man, where I'm just lucky I wasn't famous or anything like that. I mean, I wasn't no fool, but I've done some stuff where I was just kind of like, man, I was just kind of feeling the vibe a little too tough, you know.
Right. You're feeling yourself a little bit.
Real quick, somebody said it's a sign of a job well done when your kids don't need you, but they still call you sometimes.
Yeah, that's so funny that you say that because my daughter, hey Ziggy, come here for a second. My 13-year-old daughter, she's 6 feet tall and plays volleyball. She plays on a 15 elite team. She plays on a 15 elite team, and then we were walking out of the gym tonight. I was taking her to practice, and we were walking out of the gym. Come here. She's like, no, come here.
She was a puppy, man.
And she said, you're just hating on me because I'm better than you. And I was like, I was laughing at that. I was like, hating on you. I was like, I want you to be better than me. Like that's what parents. Come here, Ziggy. Her name is Zion.
She ain't coming. She not gonna come.
She's coming.
Oh my God.
What's up, Ziggy?
What's going on? Can you repeat what you said?
I'm just better than you. Like,
and she said, you're just mad at me because I'm better than you. And I was like, I want you to be better than me. That's like the whole purpose of me being your dad. So like to make you better than me. All right, you can be. Oh, you want to show our littles? She got a kitten for Christmas.
You guys got kittens. You guys got puppies, man. We witnessing a beautiful mess, man.
Exactly.
That's funny. Oh, so who your top favorite comedians?
Look at this dude.
Oh wow, that's a dope cat.
Oh yeah, he got them ears.
In my
eyes though.
Yeah.
His name is Littles.
Littles. He's like he's bigs.
He's tiny. He's like that big.
Who are your top 3 comedians? Favorite comedians?
Todd Rexx.
Hey.
Bill Burr.
Okay.
And like living or dead, like current comedian.
Over, yeah.
Oh, Richard Pryor.
Okay.
Yeah.
In no particular order, though. You're supposed to say that.
In no particular order.
But definitely Todd Rexx number 1.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope.
Hey, Ziggy. Oh, never mind. Sorry. I know this is so unprofessional, man.
Oh, man. We family. We family. Hey, man. It's all good. Your top 3 rappers.
Top 3 rappers. Oh, man. MF dude. Damn. I love Biggie. I love Eric Sermon. I love Black Thought. Oh man, there's so many. I like.
You read my mind though on a couple of them. I was gonna Doom, Black Thought,
who?
And then
Oh,
you gotta,
dude, hold on. I gotta say Fonte from
Wow.
Fonte from Little Brother, man. That dude is ridiculous with it.
he's cool. He's cool. But I'll say, you gotta give it to Big Daddy Kane.
BDK, man.
Yeah.
Come on,
You can't forget. And the reason why I always go to Big Daddy Kane, it's crazy because I saw an interview where Black Thought said that Big Daddy Kane was his favorite rapper.
Right.
When I first saw the when I first saw the Roots perform, I used to kind of have a thing with rappers saying other rappers' lyrics. Like I really had a thing. Like I couldn't catch it. I couldn't. It didn't. It really didn't make sense to me. And then it was like Black Thought really came into his own, and he didn't do other people's stuff so much, and he was kind of doing his own.
Right.
And when he said that Big Daddy Kane was like his favorite MC, I was like, damn, Black Thought is busting just kind of the way that Big Daddy Kane, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like a more like a newer version, like a newer version. But yeah, I always got to give it to Big Daddy Kane when I think of Black.
Love Big Daddy Kane too, and I love Rakim, of course. And I became friends with Rakim back in the early 2000s, and we lost contact over the years. But for a while, we were cool. I went to this crib in Connecticut where he was throwing a party, and it was like a big ass mansion with a pool. And he hit me up and he was like, "Rex, come through." And I was like, "Word." And I got my boys. We rolled from DC up there and had a blast. But yeah, Rakim too. Pharaoh Monch. I get down with Pharaoh Monch.
Wow.
Yeah. Nah, that's dope.
Yeah. You got a hot 16 in you? Everybody got one. Nothing.
Hot 16, like off the top?
Not the top, just something that you've been holding. Like, man, I always say if you in the elevator with Diddy, man, you know what I'm saying? Like,
man.
you know what I'm saying?
Nah, I ain't got. I don't have anything.
You got
written,
something
man.
you sitting on, man.
Not that
You're
I'm
afraid.
comfortable with letting go right now.
Nah, man. Zoe's gonna redeem it, man. We gonna bring Zoe back in a month or so, man, and let her.
Zoe will crush it.
Yeah,
she stick her face in the camera and be like,
we're gonna let her carry the the Rexx name. You know what I'm saying? So so that's dope. So about maybe 5 months or so ago, a friend of mine got hoodwinked out of his IG profile, and it was kind of a very sinister mastermind way. I mean, I know what you're thinking, and I know what you're saying. But after I sat on the phone with him and somebody else who it had happened to for about an hour, I was kind of blown back. I honestly wish I could have recorded the conversation because it was very interesting with the level of sophistication that went into it. So we did a podcast on it, and we referred to it as the Monkey Hustle Chronicles. So with that being said, what's the greatest scam you've ever heard of?
the greatest scam?
Yep.
Oh man, my boy got scammed. Like got scammed some ugly. And he bought a house. He went through this private mortgage company to buy a house down in the Eastern Shore. In the Eastern Shore, and dropped a nice down payment on the house, like 150 racks or something like that, and then got the keys. And then he was living in Silver Spring, Maryland. He's actually my best friend, Gino, and got the keys of the house, moved a bunch of furniture in, like bought a whole bunch of new furniture, furnished the whole house. And that was going to be like the little vacation home on the Eastern Shore. And he had alarms and everything set all over the house. And he was at his house when his alarms went off, and all he could see was the truck pulled up and dudes hustling in and just like taking all the shit out of there. So he called the police. Police got there a little too late because it's in the Eastern Shore. It's like in the woods a little bit away from the water. And come to find out that the mortgage company pulled a fast one on this motherfucker. Like they took his 150 racks, gave him the keys to this house that they didn't even own, and then took all his fucking furniture and his 150 racks, and he tried to reach this guy, and of course, the guy that worked for the mortgage company at this like one-off mortgage company was gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a monkey hustle right there.
That's a monkey hustle right there. And this is a white dude who you think would be on his P's and Q's. And he was like, nah, the guy's good. I met with him. He's a great guy.
No one's immune.
Right? No one's immune, right? And he was like, they took our fucking money. They took everything.
150. Wow. Did they ever resolve that, or it just
never resolved it? They just had to chalk it up. Dude just disappeared.
Wow.
Fake name, phony company, all that shit. That was just their thing.
Wow, that's like the end of a movie, man.
That move to another state and then do it again to somebody else.
That's a whole movie. That's crazy. Have you ever been scammed?
Have I ever been scammed? No, and people have tried to scam me. I don't even understand the scam. Like, my son had a quad, like a four-wheel motorcycle, and and I put it on Craigslist to sell it, and some guy like reached out to me, and he was like, I'm gonna send you a check. I don't even know how this scam works. I'm gonna send you a check for the price of the quad, plus I'm gonna send you a little extra, so that when I'm gonna send this company to come pick the quad up from your house, and that's gonna be the money that you pay the company to pick you up from the house is the extra money that I'm sending you. And so when he sent the check, I tried to deposit the check. Like, he overnighted the check to my house. And so I put the check in the bank. They were like, this isn't a real check. And so I was like, he was like, do you know this person? I was like, no, I did put it on Craigslist, and this guy reached out to me, and he was like, no, it's a scam. And I'm like, a scam? And he tried to explain it to me like somehow I don't know, if you have the money in the bank to cover the check, I don't know.
No, that's
that's what happens. Yeah, so they take your they act like that they're taking your money, but it don't ever go through. So your money's gone, and then you waiting for this check. But yeah, pretty much when your account goes into the negative or whatever, then you got the police on your ass. But I think because they know so many people get scammed, they'll let you slide. But you still owe that money back though. That's the only problem.
Right. So luckily, I knew the rep at the bank who told me that. He's like, "No, this is a scam, dude. It's not real." And I was like, "Jesus Christ!" almost fell for the okie doke.
I breed dogs. I've had people try to, that's how I became familiar with that. I never took it though, but I became familiar with that hustle because it'd be people that would communicate with me, but they'd only communicate through like email, and they say, "Oh, I'm too busy to go there," or they come up with some excuse, and it would kind of be the sleight of hand thing where they're like, well, you know what? I'm going to give you an extra $500 for just going through the trouble of it, and don't worry about it and all that. But I've always been smart enough to just know people don't just like, if you're in someone's presence, I've had people like really not care and give me an extra $100 or an extra $150 or something, just not care. Like, some people, everybody's not on cash. Like, and if you got it, you're really not tripping like that. But when it's like, oh, can you bust this check? Well, they don't say bust the check, but we're going to send you a check and it's going to be extra and negative, man.
Right. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, with this whole COVID situation, where were you when you heard that I guess Los Angeles was going to be locked down for the COVID curfew and all that kind of stuff? And then what was running through your mind when you like heard that it was like a real thing?
Well, I remember where I was when we realized that we weren't going out on the road anymore. And we were I was on the road with Craig Robinson and Frankie Quinones, and we were in Buffalo, New York. And it was March 8th of 2020. And was it 21? Yeah, 2020, right? I don't know. The years are running into each other now, but yeah, it was March 8th of 2020. And that was we got back from there, and then Craig was like, yo, all the dates that we have on the road are being canceled. And then we started watching the news, and they were talking about like locking down and all that. And I was like, geez, come on, man. And I thought it was going to be like a few weeks, like I didn't know it was going to be ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. we still locked down.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Yeah, but I ended up getting COVID in 2021. Things started lightening up a little bit at the beginning of 2021, and so I went down to Florida with Craig and Frankie, and it was literally a year to the weekend that we didn't do any shows. So we go down there in March, like it was like March 3rd. We were down there in Florida or something like that, March 3rd, somewhere around there. And my daughter, Zoe, she was like, be careful down there in Florida. You know, they act like there's no pandemic down there. Don't come back with COVID. And sure enough, the day I got back, I got off the plane and I was like not feeling right. I was feeling lightheaded. I was in my front yard, like, going, what's wrong with me? And so I called my buddies that were in Florida, and I was like, any of y'all feel sick? And they're like, nah. And I was like, dude, I feel all lightheaded. They're like, well, think about what you did. You got up yesterday morning, went out for mimosas and all that stuff, went out, did your show, went out and partied, and then you went on the plane, and then you went back to LA on the plane in the morning, and you probably haven't slept right, so you're probably just tired. And I was like, you're right. But that day I took a COVID test, and the next day I felt great. I was fine. I was doing all kinds of stuff around the house. And then the COVID test results came back, and they're like, you're positive. And I was like, oh my God. Jeez. So I had the whole family tested. They went to the doctor, got all tested. And then my wife and my son had it too. So my girls left the house, and that was just me, my son, and my wife. And we're just waiting for that shoe to drop where all of us are going to be like going to the hospital to get put on ventilators. And it never happened. Like that first day that I didn't feel good was the worst that I felt. And that was gone after a day. After that, I was fine. I just had to quarantine, and my son never got any symptoms. My wife just lost her sense of smell. But yeah, for us, COVID was very easy.
So, who would be in your dream verses? You've been keeping up with the verses battles and stuff.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I really don't. Damn, my dream verse would have been Tupac versus Biggie.
Oh wow, that's a dream.
Yeah, but I don't know happen anytime soon. So,
but we always preference it with Dead or Alive though. So that's a dope one though.
Yeah, right. We can have a hologram battle.
Right, that would be dope. That would be dope. I don't know. I haven't really put too much thought into that.
Yeah, I say I see that versus happening at Coachella in about 4 years, 5 years.
Oh yeah, that would be dope though. Wouldn't it have the holograms on stage going at it?
Well, they did Tupac. I want to say NWA or somebody or Dr. Dre. Somebody performed. They brought Tupac out, but it didn't work. It didn't work.
Yeah, it was Dr. Dre and Snoop. Yep. And they
brought ODB out, and that didn't work.
Oh, that was really. Yeah, everybody don't need to be a hologram.
So. With all that being said, I'm gonna hit you with the last.
All right.
Where do you see social interaction going in the next 2 years?
Oh my God. I don't know, man. It all depends. Like when Jeremy and I went to Chappelle's party a couple weeks ago, Dave said that we need to put our differences aside and use the kindness theory, start being kind to people. And he's like, because nation divided is easily conquered. And he was like, and I truly believe this. He said that COVID was a test run to see how we would react and to see if we could be easily controlled. And show that we have. And not only can we be controlled, but we can it'll also turn us against each other. And a nation divided is easily conquered. And he was like, so this is just a test run for something way bigger that's around the corner. And he was like, so just start being kind to each other. So that being said, if he's talking about like something else that's going to be even more divisive, like, oh man, I don't even want to know what that would look like. I would like to think that it's going to either people are just going to get over this whole fear of this COVID thing and just like come out in droves and just start hanging out. It'd be a block party, or it's going to go the other way where people are just going to become recluse and just post up in their homes. And I'm hoping that's not where it's going. For the simple fact, I love social interaction. And we had Jeremy and I have been hanging out in public with a lot of people, and it's been a lot of fun. And also it's hard to do. Like, I've tried to do the Zoom comedy shows. I'm not into it. Not one. Yeah. I did one from the Laugh Factory, and I was like, no, it's not for me, man. Wow. So I need the crowds to be. I need the social aspect of society to function.
Nah, that's dope, man. That's I'll say that is one of the most interesting answers we've had to that question.
Really?
Since we've been asking it, and I'll say this before we close out. It was interesting because when COVID first jumped off, I'm a super Costco shopper anyway, and so it's like the first day I went to Costco, I got there 2 hours before they opened. Then
and the line was already ridiculous.
Oh man! Then the next day I went, and then I was there 3 hours ahead of time. And then the last time,
did you wait that whole time?
Oh yeah, for sure. And guess what I waited for?
What was that?
Toilet paper.
I said, guess what I waited for?
Oh yeah, for toilet paper.
And guess what else?
Paper towels.
Hand
sanitizer.
Well, I got a lot of stuff, but I was gonna say, man, I'm just now, you know what I'm saying, kind of running through toilet paper from 2 years.
Seriously? How much?
Yeah. And I got, well, I'm about, I live by myself. So it was crazy because it was like, I'll say the funny part, if it was an experiment, man, it's so much other stuff we should have been focused on, and people was focused on toilet.
Right.
Really focused on toilet paper.
Yeah, I never understood that either. It got to the point where we had a friend that this older woman who works at the Walmart near our house. We became friends with her just from me going in there all the time. And she was like, if you need any hand sanitizer or disinfecting wipe, like antibacterial wipes or toilet paper, I got you. And I would have to meet her like we're doing drug deals in a parking lot. She would pop her trunk and she'd have all this stuff that she was able to buy. She would be able to buy because she works there, and she put it to the side or whatever, and then purchase it at night. And then she wouldn't charge me extra for it, but she was like, "Here's 2 packs of toilet paper and some Lysol or Clorox wipes and some hand sanitizer." I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like it's just like having a little side hustle. They're doing drug dealers. Pop the trunk. Let me see what you're working with.
That's where we at, man. That's where we at. Well, you got anything you want to shout out? You want to give your socials? Anything we need to look forward to coming up?
Yeah, just Todd Rexx, 2 D's, 2 X's, TODDREXX. That's on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Even though Twitter has kicked me out. And it's been over a year, and they still won't let me back on.
Wow. And
it was after I saw a video of a police officer like body slamming a handcuffed young black chick. She was a teenager, and he slammed her on her face on the concrete in the jailhouse. And I said, this dude needs to be tarred and feathered. And that's what I said. And this goes against, I guess it was because it was like suggesting violence towards a police officer. It was just that one specific police officer, and they kicked me off. And I've tried to go back on. They're like, you are currently suspended. So,
yes.
So Instagram and Facebook.
I'm about the same way anyway.
What's that?
Twitter. I'm about the same way too. Fuck Twitter.
Right. So yeah, I mean, got some shows coming up. Little Rock, Arkansas, Wichita, Kansas. all the comedy hotspots. I've been touring with Craig Robinson and Frankie for like 6 years, and Craig is down in New Orleans doing a television show right now. He'll be done in mid-February, so hopefully we'll be picking back up in mid-February and hitting the road again. So it's a good time with my boys, and maybe you and me need to do something, Jeremy.
I'm working on it, man. Come on, Monday. You know what I'm saying? I need you to come through.
Word up.
Get down for me, please.
You got it. I'm there.
What's up, Jeremy? You got anything you want to shout out? Any dates coming up?
Yeah, Monday. I keep looking at the calendar. Let's get the date right. Monday,
24th.
The 24th, January 24th. I'm doing a screening of my special, and then I'm also gonna have my favorite comics do some time. You know what I'm saying? And just appreciate everybody. But it's gonna be at the Comedy Store in the main room. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, you doing the main room?
I mean, they playing me, but it's all good, man. I'm waiting for the link so I can send it around so I can get everybody. But yeah, that's what's going down. I'm pushing it. It's gonna be dope. I want everybody there because my birthday is Thursday, and I want that to be the corresponding party for that. You know what I'm saying? So
is it this? Your birthday is this Thursday?
Yes, the Thursday, yo.
So your birthday is on the 18th, 19th, 20th.
20th. Yep.
Okay. Zoe's is the 22nd.
Yeah, I think you told me. I think you was telling me about it. You was talking about signs or something like that. But yeah, I just honestly I was kind of like hesitant because of the Omicron thing, but I feel like the news
worried
moved
about
on
the
but the news moved on to the tsunami.
Right.
So once I feel like the news moved on, I was like, you know what? When I was, might as well, because you never know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? I just want to celebrate everybody. You know what I mean? So,
well, I'll be there Monday for sure.
Thank you.
Of course.
That's dope. That's dope. Well, no, man. Thank you, Todd. Once again, it was cool having you, Jeremy, tap back in with it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the opportunity, man.
Oh, no, all good. And we're going to connect, and I'll go through Jeremy, and we'll get hooked up with Zoe, and we'll get it popping.
Word, absolutely. Let's do that.
And then, you know what? We gonna have to fool around and do the whole family, man. We gonna have to do Zoe. We gonna have to do your son.
Maximus, man. Zig, man. I was like, is there somebody in your family that's not talented? Sheesh.
The puppy and the cat,
Or Benny the dog.
Who's is there a black sheep Rex?
my oldest daughter Taylor, she just
snap.
She just chilled. She just chilled. She didn't really do anything. She doesn't have anything that she does except she looks really good. I mean, not that I was looking, but dudes are always like, when we were hanging out in Hollywood when she was like 24, 25, dudes are like, damn, Rex, who that? And I'm like, that's my daughter, dude. Relax.
Bane of a father, man. Gosh.
I know. That's nice. Well, no, man, it's definitely been a pleasure, man. I appreciate all of it. And
over here, man. Appreciate you.
Nah, we'll have you come back. And once again, man, I wanted to build up to who you are without just like hopping into all your affiliations and everything, because I feel everybody's story, most people, they can find like a common ground within hip hop and then kind of break their story down from that. So once again, I want to appreciate you for that.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much, man.
All right, man. Thank you for tuning in. It's been Splendid Radio on Far Side.